A few days ago was the eve of Halloween, recognized in Western countries as the night when spirits are most active. During a leisurely afternoon tea, my friends and I sat around sharing some hair-raising stories. Among these, I recounted a personal experience. Despite being educated in a scientific mindset, I'm reluctant to believe in the supernatural, yet I couldn't find a logical explanation for this particular incident. This event took place in 2009, right when I had just started my career. The lease on the apartment I shared with a colleague was about to expire. When my colleague moved to another city for a job opportunity, I couldn't afford the rent on my own and temporarily moved in with my boyfriend, Ethan. We both worked at the same company, he in the international department, and I in the domestic marketing department. Ethan's rented apartment was conveniently close to our workplace. It was a 3-bedroom flat with 1 room for Ethan, 1 for our roommate, and 1 for me. At that time, Ethan and I had just started our relationship and were not living together yet, so we kept our separate rooms. The apartment was in an old neighborhood, previously designated for city committee officials, featuring a pleasant environment and comprehensive facilities. Nothing seemed amiss when I first moved in. Ethan often worked late, so coming home around 8 or 9 o'clock was the norm for him, and sometimes even later when he was chasing deadlines. Since I finished work earlier, I'd usually watch TV on the sofa after dinner, waiting for him to come home, often falling asleep there. However, as time went by, things started to feel a bit off. On nights when Ethan was working late to meet month-end targets, I'd fall asleep on the couch and have a recurring dream. In the dream, a group of people would suddenly enter our home, acting as though they were very familiar with me, enthusiastically chatting and saying, "Let's go, we need to hurry, or we'll be late." They would even try to pull me along as if there was some urgent matter that needed immediate attention. Strangely, I didn't recognize any of these seemingly familiar faces. I felt an intense fear and resistance, lying on the sofa, trying hard not to open my eyes or look at them, hoping to use my body's weight to resist their pulling. Often, while struggling, a loud bang would suddenly occur, and all the people around me would vanish, and I'd open my eyes. Ethan had come home, and the noise was him opening the door. This dream would recur every few weeks, with the most extreme instance being pulled into midair. I tried to turn around, wanting to lie back on the sofa, but I caught a glimpse from the corner of my eye that I was still lying there peacefully. At that moment, an overwhelming fear gripped me. If I was still on the sofa, then who was this in midair? After researching extensively online, most explanations suggested the phenomenon was akin to sleep paralysis, where the body and consciousness do not wake up simultaneously. I shared these experiences with Ethan, who half-jokingly asked if I'd been watching too many horror movies, and even suggested I accompany him on his late-night shifts. I did join him a few times, but couldn't keep up due to fatigue and inconvenience when his department head was present. Subsequently, 2 unsettling incidents convinced me beyond a doubt that we had to move out. One evening in September, Ethan caught a cold and had a fever. I went to a clinic outside our neighborhood to get him some medicine. It was dark, and perhaps due to unfamiliarity with the area, I mistakenly walked towards a different building that, unlike ours, had no storage sheds in front. Realizing my mistake and turning to head back, I noticed the ground felt uneven, as if sloping. That's when I saw it was pitch dark, and the streetlights were off. Taking out my phone to use the flashlight, I was shocked to my core. In front of me was a small, round mound of earth. A grave? I ran back home as fast as I could, completing what would normally be a few minutes' walk in mere seconds. Upon arrival, I slammed the door shut and, without waiting for Ethan to ask, breathlessly exclaimed, "We can't live here. There's a grave in the yard." Ethan, half concerned and half amused, checked my forehead, joking, "Are you the one with a fever, or is it me? Looks like we both need some of this fever reducer." I recounted my experience in detail, and Ethan suggested we check it out the next day, thinking perhaps the darkness had deceived my ease. After a virtually sleepless night, I reluctantly agreed to revisit the spot in broad daylight. hiding behind Ethan. To our astonishment, the area where I had seen the mound was now completely flat. "See, you scared yourself for nothing," Ethan reassured me. "You must have seen it wrong. Maybe it was something someone left there temporarily." I began to doubt myself. Was it really just my imagination? Less than a month later, right before the National Day holiday, our company organized a lunch gathering. Running a bit late, our roommate suggested a shortcut that would get us there faster. Ethan and I followed him towards the south end of our neighborhood. Curious, I asked, "Is there a south exit to this neighborhood?" He explained, "No, there's a vegetable garden to the south. It was supposed to be developed into a green space, but the older residents turned it into a garden instead." Approaching the neighborhood's southern wall, which was quite low, we noticed a few steps that likely facilitated gardeners' access. I easily climbed up, finding myself in an open area with several small vegetable patches. But at the edge of one garden, amid overgrown weeds, lay a grave. This time, I was absolutely certain of what I saw. I dragged Ethan over to show him, insisting, "This is no illusion or hallucination." Ethan seemed bewildered. Our roommate, oblivious to my agitation, quipped, "Is it really that big of a deal? It's just a few graves." I urged everyone to leave immediately. At lunch, Ethan briefly mentioned my encounters to our colleagues, who were initially puzzled but soon showed excitement and curiosity, bombarding me with questions. "Is it really true? Did you make up this story? How do you explain it? Did you run into a ghost? Why haven't I ever encountered something like this? Did you do something wrong?" Their curiosity and thirst for knowledge left me sighing in resignation. There were no further terrifying developments after these incidents. Once the National Day holiday was over, I moved out quickly, and there were no more occurrences thereafter. Over the years, whenever I recall this episode, I wonder, what would have happened if those familiar yet unknown people had actually taken me away? Perhaps there are indeed things in this world that defy explanation yet exist all the same.